First of all, I want to thank all of you guys for coming and tuning in today. I'm super excited to talk to you a little bit about who I am, my story, and more importantly, how to authentically build a business from your community. This is something that I have been doing for the past 5 years. And I think, kind of going off of what Seppi was saying earlier, I think now more than ever, it's super important to not just build communities, but also to do that in a way that is authentic with who you are, your values, and your unique experience and stories. So I'm going to just make sure that my slides are working. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to quickly just give you a little bit about who I am. Also, thank you, Seppi, for adding the J. I'm going through a rebranding, so it's really important to me. My name is Sienna J. Brown, and I am an educator, expat, and entrepreneur. I have been living in Spain for the past 6 years, where I've really taken the time and energy to build a life that I love. My mission is to, let me just see these slides. There we go. Okay. So my mission is that I teach driven women how to secure remote work opportunities so that they can build a life of freedom and flexibility that they deserve. What does that actually mean? So for me, something that I found over the years is that being able to live in a different country, being able to live abroad, and not just live abroad, but actually grow personally and professionally was really the key of what I needed to kind of be able to create that space to figure out who I am, what I want, and the impact that I kind of want to leave in the world. And so from that, I grew my brand, which turned into a business, Las Mujeres de España, which is this amazing platform of women from all over the world, specifically women of color. So before we continue, I really want to focus and hone in on that. I'm going to be talking a lot about why you need to show up in your communities as well. And so as you're going to see in all of my images and all of the things are all photos from my community, from events that we've had, conferences, retreats, etc. And so being able to see and show that representation for me at the very least is extremely important. If you guys are still with me, give me a quick, hey, I'm still here in the chat. When I teach classes, I love to make sure that everyone is interacting, that everyone is engaged. If you have your notebooks, extra points for you, because there's going to be a lot of things where we'll be taking notes and learning new things, okay? So first, I want to share a little bit about my story and how I got to where I am now. So this part of my story as an entrepreneur and business owner really started back 6 years ago when I was living in New York. So beforehand, I had studied abroad in Spain. I had really loved the experience. I'd moved back to New York, and I had graduated from college. I had a great job. I was able to grow professionally, etc. But everything looked really good on paper. But I found that I was really just going through the motions. And so I would wake up, go on the train for an hour, go to work, spend time drifting off, working on other projects, coming back home, meeting up with friends, going to bed, and just doing it over and over and over again until one day I was just kind of like, there has to be more than this. And so I had to ask myself, was I just going through the motions, or was I actually living intentionally? And I realized that I wasn't. So what did I do? I decided I can keep on doing what I'm doing and go through the motions, or I can decide to actively make a change. And that is when I moved to Spain. So when I moved to Spain, these are some photos from my first couple of years. But when I moved to Spain, right beforehand, I was on the train to work, and I was Googling where were online communities for women of color who were living in Spain. And all of the stories that I had found were super negative. And I felt really frustrated because I had a really positive experience living there. Living here. So I was like, okay, we need to start sharing different stories, and we need to start kind of changing the narrative of how people are viewing what it means to be a Black woman in Spain. I want you to keep that in mind, because that sounds like something so specific. But the fact that it was so specific is what allowed for us to be able to grow and attract the right types of people, right? So I had moved to Spain in my first couple of years. I'd really just spent time building the LMDS community, which I'm going to share more about that process. And we started getting traction all over the world from brands like NPR, TEDx, Huffington Post, etc. And then that transitioned into stage 3, right? So how over the years was I able to use this community that I had to not just build a business focusing on income, but also focusing on how am I impacting the lives of others? So right now, really quickly, if you guys have a business and you're focusing more on impact instead of income, drop it in the chat and let me know, okay? So this last part of my story, which is a chapter that I'm in now, is I've really been able to build my dream business and my dream life. So I've been able to design a career and a business that I love that isn't just a career, but it also supports the lifestyle of freedom and flexibility that I've always dreamed of. Okay, I'm loving this. Lily's saying that she's just starting, no income. Nicole says she's focusing on impact with a dream to make it lucrative. Also just starting. Okay, amazing. So I'm going to be sharing more tips and tricks with you guys. Marvin says him too. Same with Isota. I hope I pronounced your name right. Okay, so we're going to get into it. I'm going to start sharing with you guys the 3 steps of how to authentically build a business with your community. All right, the first one is be specific with who you're serving. So again, if you're taking notes, if you have a notebook, I really want you to write these down because it's going to be really important for you to think about. So I want you to be specific with who you're serving. So if I were to ask you right now, also don't mind the 5 steps. I changed the presentation to make these 3 instead of 5. Okay, so I want you to tell me right now, can you tell me who you are serving? Can you tell me who you're serving? And I think that this is one of the most important parts of creating a community, because when your community is a little bit different, when you really dive in deep and figure out, okay, this is the specific type of person that I want to be serving. And I'm not talking about creating a list of demographics with their ages and with their job professions, but like, I want you to ask yourself, what are their values? I want you to ask yourself, where are they living? I want you to ask yourself, what are their dreams and their goals and all of these things? And when you're really able to get crystal clear, saying who you're going to be able to serve and why it matters that you are the person serving them, that's really important. Not just who you're serving, but why it's important that you are the person that is serving them based on your experiences, your past skills, etc. That's going to be one of the most important parts to really bring in the community that you want to eventually make your business, okay? So the first thing is, can you tell me right now who you're serving? The second thing that I want to ask you is, the second thing that I want to ask you is, what problem are they currently facing? Yeah? So when you think about the community that you're wanting to build, the business that you're wanting to create, and the impact that you're wanting to have, you really have to ask yourself, what problem are they currently facing, right? And I think that this is one of the biggest things, because when you're talking about selling down the line, it doesn't matter if you started 5 months ago, 5 weeks ago, or 5 years ago. When it comes to selling, people buy solutions, right? A lot of the times people think, okay, I'm going to sell a course. I'm going to sell space on my blog. I'm going to sell a retreat. And they don't think about like, what problem is my ideal client, customer, community member? What problem are they currently facing, right? And so when you're able to ask yourself and really define what problem are they currently facing, it's going to help you provide a transformation. So in my case, for my business, the group that I was solving, let's go backwards for a second. The group that I was serving when I first started, so I'm going to give you guys the steps from back when I started to where I am now. When I started, who I was serving was the community of Black women who are currently living in Spain and who wanted to connect, who needed to find community, who needed to feel inspired, who needed to believe that they had opportunities outside of just teaching English, right? Over the years, that evolved through the steps that I'm going to share with you later, but over the years, that evolved to me realizing, hey, my community is actually different than what I think it is. My community is really women who are still living in the US who want to make that move, right? So when I'm able to properly identify, thinking that my community is starting off being the community in Spain, and then now that's transitioned to the community in the US or in their home countries who want to move abroad, those are 2 really different problems that we're trying to solve, right? So when I asked myself, what problem are they currently facing? Back when I started, the problem was there's no community offline or online. The problem was there's not enough voices of people who are doing amazing work. The problems were women were living in Spain, but they didn't know how to grow professionally. Over the years, we started solving those problems one by one until it brings us to where we are today, where now the problem that we're solving is we're teaching driven women, specifically women of color, how to find remote work opportunities so that they can build the life they love anywhere in the world, right? So that they can build a life of freedom and flexibility. When you hear that, those are really strong transformations. That's being able to say, I'm taking my community from point A to point B. Okay, and that's what I want to talk about now. Asking yourself, how are you providing your community with life-changing transformations? So I'm looking at what you guys are saying in the comments right now, and I'm loving this. Lily says, single childless women who come from a religious background and who want to continue to connect and grow and make a difference in their community. That is amazing. That is so specific. And I'm sure that you, your story, your experience, that you are going to be the perfect person to teach them because of the things that you've gone through, because of the knowledge that you have, etc. So again, how are you providing them with a life-changing transformation, right? So I'm going to walk you through a couple of steps to show you how you can set that up for yourself in your business, whether you're just starting, whether you've been in it for a couple of years, or whether you've been in it for quite a while and you're looking to pivot. So if you guys are still here, a quick yes. Am I going too fast, too slow? Are your hands hurting from writing down too many notes? Let me know. Beth says, yeah, girl, yes, perfect. Yes, it's great, perfect. Loving the device here. Okay, love it. Zeppi says hand is hurting, but that's a good thing. Okay, so when we go to how are you providing them with a life-changing transformation, we're going to ask ourselves 3 questions, right? But before we do that, I want to make sure that you stop trying to be everything for everyone. And especially as you're starting off, you're going to start getting messages from friends, or you're going to have people sharing their opinions or saying, this is an amazing idea. You could be doing so much more. I remember when we first started, everyone was like, oh my gosh, Las Marinas de España. You should do it in Italy and in France and in Latin America and in South America and in Mexico and all of these places. But guess what? I'm not here for everyone. Why? Because my story, my experience, my passion is based in Spain and is based in moving abroad. So I can't specify what it's going to be like building a life in Chile because I've never done it, right? And so I really, really, really just want you to keep that in mind because, again, it's like you need to be crystal clear with who you serve, what you bring to the table, and the transformation that you provide, and realize that sometimes less is more. So if you have that idea, kind of like how Lily, I believe, was saying earlier, her idea is so specific, stick with that. Even if you feel like the progress is going to be slower, even if you feel like those people aren't out there, but I promise you they are. It's just really going to take you being consistent, you showing up, and you being real with your story. Okay? So we're going to keep going. What is the transformation that you're providing for your community? I want you guys to write this down. Point A, point B, and point C. And I really want to talk about this because a lot of the times people think that they're taking people from point A to point B, but they're missing a huge process. I mean, a huge part of the process, right? So when you think about it, point A is where are they now, where they are now. So where is your ideal community member, client, or customer? Where are they in their life now? What are they struggling with? What are their dreams? What are their aspirations? And what are they currently already doing that's either working or not working for them? And then you're going to jump a step. You're going to jump a step and you're going to ask yourself, where do they want to be? So we're going from point A to point C. Where are they now to where they want to be? So again, their dreams, their aspirations, what they want to be doing in life. The big things that they've always been working on, but they haven't necessarily gotten there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to define your point B. So how are you going to help them get there, right? How are you going to help them get there? So again, if you know where they are now, and you know because you've done your job in defining who they are, and you're going to follow the steps that we're going to talk about in a second, and you've spoken to them to figure out where they want to be. So not thinking about it, not thinking what you think they want, but actually sitting down and talking to them and listening to your ideal clients and community members, then that's how you can say, okay, how can I fill in the Venn diagram, right? So how can I connect the dots? How can I show them how to get from where they are now to where they want to be through the community that I'm currently running, and not only that, but through the services that you're going to be providing. And I think that that's one of the most important things, right? Because at the end of the day, while yes, you do have a community, if you want this to be your livelihood, if you want to be able to live comfortably doing this, you need to be able to say, okay, at some point I'm going to have to sell. But the difference is that you're not going to be selling from a place of desperation, but you're going to be selling from a place of knowledge, from a place of impact, and from a place of actually providing them with the transformation that they want and need. Okay? All right, so we are going to keep going. Also, if you guys are still with me, let me know if you are struggling with figuring out point A, point B, or point C. All right? Okay, let's keep going. Diane says point B. Let's see, Diane says point B, B, B. Struggling with finding direction, so I guess C. Okay, I love this. We're going to keep on going, and I want to share with you guys what type of transformation you can see. Also, if my eyes are going up, it's because I'm looking at my screen behind me with the slides. So what I want to walk you guys through is, if you're saying point A, point C, and point B, that's how you're able to create mission statements like, I help driven women secure remote work opportunities to build a life of freedom and flexibility they deserve. But that's my point B. Why? Because my community members, right now they're struggling because they're going through the motions. They're probably working in corporate. They're fed up and they're tired and they want to have a life abroad where they're either traveling more or they're doing work that they love, etc. And their dream is being able to move abroad and eventually start their own businesses, do their own things, but they know that that's a big jump. So I'm going to share with you guys really quickly Sean's transformation and what one of my students in my remote work roadmap course and my Master Your Move Abroad course kind of went through in this transformation. Okay, so point A, Sean, which is the photo on the left. It's funny because you can even see the difference in her face in these photos. But when Sean started out, when she found me in my work, she had just quit her job in the corporate world. So she was really ready for a change. She was burnt out, but she had enough money to kind of explore what she wanted to be doing. And she said, okay, I really want to make sure that my next step is the right one. But she was extremely confused because she was trying to do it on her own, like many of us do when we don't actually take the time to invest in other people. So she was trying to do it on her own and felt like, okay, I don't know if I can switch fields. I don't know if I'm going to be able to position myself. And I want to launch my own business, but I know it's not going to be sustainable. So what did we do? I worked with Sean to help her figure out and gain a clear idea of what her ideal life looks like personally and professionally. And she realized that she wants to run an e-commerce business and that she wants to really be able to have total control of her time and energy. So we talked and we really dug into that. And I said, okay, what are the past experiences that you have? What is it that you need to learn? And what are the things that get you excited? And we realized and came up with the fact that Sean wants to help wellness platforms build strong, inclusive communities to create brand awareness and innovative business development ideas. So she went from being extremely confused to being able to have a very clear idea of who she wanted to be working with and how to position herself. And that happened because I was able to come in as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, and also as someone who she felt like she could relate to and trust to be able to see her potential and bring that out of her. I want to share with you what Sean shared with me the other day. She says, I just want to say shout out to Sienna Brown. This course and her guidance has been like giving me a new pair of eyes. It's taken a little minute for me to adjust to my vision of what's really out there and how to craft myself, but it's lining up and I'm excited about that. So when we talk about income and impact, that's what I'm talking about, right? The impact is that I'm able to show up and give Sean the transformation that she needs to build a better life. And the income is she has joined my course, which is the Master Your Move Abroad course, and it's at a price at $1,000, which someone is happy to willing to pay me in full in an instant because she knows that I would be able to provide her with transformation, right? So when you're able to get crystal clear on these things, then that's when you're going to be able to see, okay, not only am I just creating a community, but I'm also creating people that when it comes time to sell, it doesn't feel sleazy, it doesn't feel cheesy, it doesn't feel inauthentic, but it feels like, hey, this thought leader, this community builder, this marketer, this whatever it is that your profession is, wants to show up for me, constantly does it, and that's why I'm trusting them with my money, with my time, and with my energy. Okay? Are we still here? What about Sean's transformation was the biggest aha moment that you found in your business, that you found that you would love to find? I want you guys to share a little bit about that with me inside of the chat before we move on to our next step. Let's see. I'm going to grab some water while you guys are engaging in the chat. And I'm going to keep going. No worries. Martha says, what's the question again? Of course, I'm sorry. I'll be a lot more clear. I want you guys to share with me, what transformation are you providing for your community? There we go. Clear and simple. Thank you guys for calling me out on that. And as you guys are sharing in the chat, we're going to go into the next step. Nicole says she's too new to know. Let's see. Nicole, this is going to be great because the next step is going to be some great ways to kind of figure out how to get to know them. So we'll dive right into that. Lindsay says she's providing access to opportunities through remote work. Amazing. Lindsay, I'd ask yourself what kind of opportunities, and I'd also ask yourself, how are you providing that access? Lily says to find meaning, to continue developing, to focus on where to find support. Lisa says creating digital marketing clarity, growth, and sales for overwhelmed entrepreneurs. Lisa, I love that because it's very specific. Also, this is Lisa who lives in Spain. Hey, girl. We're going to keep going. We're going to go with number 2. And Seppi, please feel free to give me a time check with how much time we have left before the Q&A. Okay? So we are going to go into step number 2. So kind of like Nicole was saying, she was like, holy crap, wait, I'm too new to know. I don't know exactly what the transformation is that I'm providing because I'm still really new. So something that I want to encourage you guys to do is ask yourself, especially as you're starting out, are you focused on selling or are you focused on serving, right? And I think this is going to play a huge part because, perfect, thank you, Seppi. This is going to play a huge part because there's a difference and it shows more than you realize. I want to be honest with you guys, right? Like, we live in a time in social media where it is so important and there's so much noise out there. There are so many online educators. There are so many coaches. There are so many marketers. There's so many everything where unless you're being really authentic, unless you're being really you, unless you're showing up and you're serving your community, they can choose everyone else, but they're going to choose you because of the way that you show up. So trust that, believe that, and don't lose faith when it comes time to saying, okay, but I want to be able to grow my community. I'm going to tell you guys, the first 2 years of growing LMDES, I did not think about making profit off of the community at all. And because I didn't think about that, that allowed for me to serve them and actually get to know the community in ways that I would not have been able to if I was only focusing on selling. Okay? So I'm going to share with you guys 4 steps on how to take time to get to know your community. And again, I want you to write these down. The first one is engage in conversation on social media. This is one of the simplest ways that you can do it because you literally have access to everyone in the world, right? Again, you're not trying to reach everyone in the world. You're trying to reach the right ones, your people, your ideal clients, customers, and community members, yeah? But once you start engaging in conversation on social media, you're going to realize that it's going to build connection, it's going to build trust, it's going to feel a sense of personalization, and I don't want to mess up the stat, but there's an extremely high number of people who buy from people who they feel like they know, right? And so a really great way to do that, Nicole is saying, yes, I made a post that's going viral right now. I don't know where to go, LOL. This is a great way to put this into practice, right? So recently, again, with everything that's going on, my last couple of posts have been going viral. And instead of saying, okay, here are all of these new people, I've been taking the time and going through and sending welcome messages to almost 400 people, right? But why does that matter? Because those are 400 people who have decided to take the time and energy to join my community in less than 48 hours. And because of that, of course, I'm going to show up. Of course, I'm going to send a message. And of course, I'm going to try to make it as personal because I want to build trust, because I want to build trust, because I want to build connection, etc. Nicole is saying, thanks, she's super excited, but she doesn't know what to do. Keep listening, I'm going to share more tips. Martha says, becoming mayor of Madrid, finding people at City Hall and hiring people like Sienna. I love it, but only if I'm going to be able to do it remotely. Okay, so as we keep on going, engage in conversation on social media. So when someone comments on your post, comment back. When someone sends you a DM back. When someone shares your post, Nicole, this is another tip for you. Go to your story, post reshares, and start engaging with the people who share your post because they've already taken another step, right? So go through, scroll through, and send out messages because that's how, yes, it takes time and energy. I think I spent 3 hours on my phone yesterday, but it's worth it because those people are going to stick around, okay? The next thing, we're going to move on. Ask them questions and take notes. So as you're building your community, I'm taking this for granted, but I really want to make sure social media is not the end game, you guys. Social media is a starting point. It's like Tinder. Imagine, this is like Tinder. What makes you want to go on a date or like start dating someone that you meet on Tinder? You don't see someone's profile and then automatically give them your WhatsApp number and go on a date the next day. It's a process, right? So imagine you see someone's Tinder profile, that's someone seeing your social media profile. So they have to say, okay, this is interesting enough for me to engage. Where did I get here? Okay, this is interesting enough for me to engage. And then you have to continue in conversations, but then start asking them what they want, what they need, what their problems are, right? When you're getting to know someone or start dating someone new, especially if it's online, you ask yourself, okay, do they share my values? What do they need? How can I show up for them? Maybe I'm just very romantic and I give too much at the beginning, but like, these are questions that I ask myself, right? And it's the same thing with your community. So like ask them questions and take notes. Also the take notes part, I don't do that with dating, FYI. But ask them questions and take notes, right? So ask them questions and take notes. Something that we do before we launch any product, experience, online initiative is that we send out a survey to the community. Yeah, we send out a survey to the community. And how do we send out that survey to the community? Bring it back to the Tinder metaphor. Is by social media is not the end game. Social media is your introduction, but you have to get people's email addresses because if you don't get people's email addresses, then you're not going to be able to get in contact with them. And like all of your conversations, all of your things are going to be on a platform that is not yours. So start this by engaging in conversation on social media and then taking it a step further, providing them with more content via email. And then when it comes time to think about product development or where you want your business to go, ask them and take notes. We reach out to the LMDS community, whether it's in our Facebook group, via email or anything, so often, maybe every couple of months, to always check in and make sure that we're providing what they actually need. The next part, hop on the phone and see what they're struggling with, right? So hop on the phone and see what they're struggling with. Because when you're able to do that, you're going to be able to get really good, juicy details really quickly. Do you guys currently hop on the phone with potential clients? If you do, let me know. If you don't, let me know, okay? This is something that you should absolutely do, especially before creating anything huge. So you hop on the phone and you say, okay, what do you need? What are you struggling with? How can I help? And then once you start getting that information, you talk to 5, 10, 20 people, you start realizing everyone has the same fears. Everyone's using the same buzzwords. Everyone's kind of sharing their same story. Amazing. This is the transformation that I'm going to take them through. So if you don't know what the transformation is for your ideal client or community member, like we said before, then this is how you start figuring it out. And then the last thing is you build your business around their needs. Not what you think they want, but around their actual needs. And you'll know what those are because you've done the work to engage on social, to ask them questions and take notes, to even hop on the phone. And then now you're in a place to say, okay, what is that online course? What is that product? What are my services? Exactly, right? So Lisa's saying, do what they tell you. I love it. And Lily says, my goal is to offer always a 20 to 30-minute coaching session, but I don't know where to find my clients yet. Lily, that's amazing. And again, use Instagram and use platforms that already exist to see where they're hanging out. All right. We are going to keep going. I see that some of you guys are saying that you offer intro sessions, etc. I think that's really good at the beginning, but you just start charging for those. But it's baby steps. I'm not going to get into that today, though. That'll be another presentation. I want to share with you guys some impact moments of what happens once you put these 4 things into place. This is the first impact moment from our business. You guys probably see the beautiful Seppi up in the left-hand side. This was back in the day. This is maybe 4 years ago, the Thrive Conference, right? So because we listened, we were able to launch the first conference in Spain for expats living abroad. We were able to have over 20 speakers from all over the world, over 120 attendees from the USA, from Israel, from the UK, from Spain. We were able to sell out, and connections able to be made both personally and professionally that have lasted for years, right? Great example, case in point. Seppi and I have been friends since we both met at the conference 4 years ago, right? Lisa was also at the conference. Was anyone else who's here at Thrive? If you were, let me know, right? So because of constantly listening and constantly adapting, that also allowed us to create LMD Yes Getaways, right? So back if we're going to talk about Thrive, that was when our focus was on women of color who were currently living in the country. Yeah, and then we realized, hey, the majority of our audience is actually still living in the US. So we said, okay, let's talk to them. Let's hear from them. Let's ask them questions. What do they need? They wanted one-of-a-kind luxury experiences where they would be able to connect with other women of color and learn. Almost all of our retreats have sold out in 48 hours, maximum a couple of weeks. Women have flown in from all over the world. We have been able to share a different kind of firsthand experience in Spain in places that aren't typical. Like, it's not in Madrid or Barcelona or Sevilla, but we go to Granada and we go to Javia, Spain, which is where I live, my hometown. But in my hometown, my adopted hometown. And people have been able to learn how to move abroad and create life-changing moments and friendships that have extended past these trips. One more time, and then I'm going to scroll through these because I want to be conscious of the time. Lindsay says, is Asturias one of the options? Unfortunately, it's not, because again, I stay in my lane, and because it takes time and energy, it wants to be a place. It has to be a place that I know extremely well, where I have connections, so that it's really a unique experience. But maybe one day. The last impact moment is me making the transition to become a remote work educator, right? And for me, I think this was one of the most impactful things. Thank you, Seppi. One of the most impactful things that I've been able to see in the transformation of my students based on where I am now as a leader and where they are now in their journeys. And I think that that's really important to remember. Your business can adapt as you adapt and evolve as an individual, right? So as I was able to step into what I know that I needed to do and what I need to be, I created courses to teach women how to move abroad and build the work that they love. And it's built on methodologies that I've had for years of experience and resources. And it sparked transformation in the lives of hundreds of women. So the courses that we've had, whether they were smaller ones or bigger ones, these are some of my core students. Lisa said she sees Teresa, exactly. So we have women from literally all over the world who are living in Chicago, who are living in Madrid, who were living in Madrid and then want to be moving back to Portugal. All of these women, they've been able to see impact moments. I want to share some with you really quickly. I'm going to scroll through these because I want to be conscious of time. Genesis, one of my students, she says, the workbook, the tools, the theories, all of these things have made my dream real. Wanting to move abroad is a big decision, and despite being as independent, dedicated, and ambitious as I am, this was the first personal investment that I've made, and I can't think of anything more fitting. Since then, Genesis has secured 2 to 3 work opportunities with companies that she loves. She has a clear plan on what she wants to be doing professionally moving forward and how she's going to be moving back to Portugal. Impact, with impact comes income. Another one, this is by Yeri, one of my consulting clients. She had just quit her job a couple of months back. She was traveling the world and she didn't know how to make money. We had a consulting session. I gave her clarity and direction on positioning herself. And within 1 month of implementing that, she scored her first job. So I create impact and income follows. The next one, from one of our smaller courses that we've had. This course is amazing. Day 1 helped me clarify some of my own characteristics, and day 2 has me asking for and receiving. She just got more responsibility at her growth fellowship so that she can grow in the field. Again, impact, and with that comes income. Are you guys getting that? Impact and then income. And so when it comes to creating these transformations, that's what it's about. And here's the thing that I really want to tell you. You cannot be afraid to put out what you have to offer. And this happens so often. People get scared. They say, okay, I have this community, but I don't want to feel fake. I'm afraid to sell. Will they pay me for what I have to offer? You have to believe that you do, and you need to step in and show up authentically as a leader. Okay? Tara saying impact leads to income. She loves this repetition. Thank you. Thank you. I'm also a psych major. So like the more that you say something, the more it sticks. And I want that to be what you guys leave with, right? Once you start creating impact, then the income will follow. When you try to just make money, then it shows and it's not authentic. Okay? We are going to go into the third one because we have 6 minutes left and I really want to be conscious on time. If you guys have questions, I hope that you're writing them down and keeping them for the next 5 minutes, okay? The last one is sharing your not just with what's going on in the States and all over the world right now, but just like in all seriousness, if you want to be a leader in this day and age, you need to be authentic. You need to be authentic. You need to be uniquely you, and you need to not be afraid of what that looks like, okay? So I'm going to share with you guys again 4 tips of how you can put this into action. The first one is sharing your journey and all parts of it, right? So how many of you guys have a story about your life or have different parts of you, of your personality, of your aspirations, of your dreams, but you're afraid to share it. You're afraid to share it with the world. You don't think that big brands are going to want to hear your story. You don't think that there are people out there who are going, you don't know how to find them, right? Once you start realizing that like my story is enough and being able to lead with my story is what's going to help things go viral or gain more traction or whatever is what really matters. My first lesson learning this was back in 2012, I think. Elite Daily was this huge brand back then. It had a huge reach, and I wrote an article for them, and it was one of the most vulnerable articles I'd ever written, and it went viral a day after, and I was like, okay, this is what it's like to be authentic, to be vulnerable and real, and that's what people resonate with, okay? So once you start sharing your story, then that's when other people start hearing your story, and they're able to communicate that. So these are photos from my first couple of years where I had gotten huge press for what we were doing with LMDS from Now This News. I was speaking at conferences. I'd given a TEDx talk, and I was speaking both in the US as well as in Europe. And it was because my story was so clear that when other people had to talk about it, it wasn't like, oh yeah, this is Sienna. She lives abroad, and I think she like runs an online community, and I think she's also an English teacher. No, my story was clear. My name is Sienna Brown. I'm an entrepreneur who's dedicated to redefining the Black experience in Spain. That's what it was 5 years ago. That's what it was for 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago. And now my name is Sienna J. Brown. Thank you again, Seppi. And I help driven women secure remote work opportunities so they can build the life of freedom and flexibility they deserve. Point blank. Anyone wants to start talking about that, it's easy to say and communicate so that it's going to be that much easier for when someone then finds me, they lean into my story and realize the why I do what I do, okay? The next thing, realize that you already have everything you need. I don't want to go into this one too much because there's a lot more details, and this isn't going to be recorded, so I'm not going to get into it. So realize that you already have everything that you need. The third thing is build trust by being human, right? So how do we become human? When you are communicating with your clients, community, etc., especially on social media, like show up authentically as yourself, right? How are you yourself? And especially with things like Instagram stories where they're like pockets into our lives, don't give everyone access to everything in your life, but ask yourself, am I showing up authentically? Am I showing up the same, or is it extremely curated? Is everything made in a Canva image, right? We want to show up authentically. How are we showing different parts of our lives? Not just as a business owner, not just talking about transformation, but like who we are and how we got to where we are now, right? The last thing is like, how do you start sharing the hard parts? How do you start being vulnerable? How do you talk about things that really matter to you, right? So this last clip is from a video that I shared, I think on Monday. And because of that video and because of the video because of the post that I shared the day after, there's been a lot of traction on my Instagram. And I realized that like, I was talking about things that I had always hesitated to talk about beforehand because I was afraid of being vulnerable or sharing my story or sharing my point of view. And once you lean into that and realize like, hey, if I want to be an example for other women to be doing the same, I have to show up in the same way, right? And so these are just like, when you build trust by being human, that's when it really matters. And that's when people really engage. And that's when people really stay and stick around, okay? And the last thing is that people will be attracted to who you are. So don't be afraid to share all parts of your stories, right? If you know me or if you are going to know me, also feel free to follow me on Instagram. Here, I'll put it in here. Follow me on Instagram as well so that you can start being a part of my community. But like, if you know me, you know that I don't just talk about being a person of color abroad or finding remote work, I share the coffee that I make in the afternoon or in the morning. I share dancing. I share personal parts of my life. I share so many different things, like my morning walks, working out, all of these things, because these are parts of my personality and people will resonate with that, right? So people will resonate with who I am as an individual. Seppi says your daily workout. Exactly, right? I talk about habits. I talk about why showing up consistently matters. Yeah? And because I'm able to do that, it makes me seem more human. So I'm doing all of that, right? I'm sharing my journey and like not just showing the highlights, but being able to say, hey, this is how I got to where I am. Yeah? And by building trust just by always being yourself. Okay? So I'm really proud of myself for being so on time. We're going to recap really quickly. I know that we rushed through some things, but I hope that you guys were able to take tons of notes. I hope that you guys were able to have tons of aha moments. Really quickly, I want to recap. The 3 steps that I shared today were being specific with who you're serving, taking time to get to know your community and ideal clients, and then sharing your story and staying authentic. Out of these 3, which one did you say, hey, I need to work on this ASAP? Which one were you guys like, this is what I'm going to start focusing my next couple of weeks on? Taking time to get to know them. Lavinia says that she's struggling to get her story down to 1 line. Absolutely. I'd also love to work with you on that. The first 2, sharing my story, taking time. Lisa says sharing her story because she's shy, refining her story. I love this. Okay. So what I want to do is, because I know that we have a specific amount of time, if you guys have questions, we're going to open it up so that you guys can ask them now. But I want you guys, number 1, if you loved or enjoyed this presentation, take a photo. I don't know how it's showing up on your screen, but take a photo. Share this on Instagram. Share with some of your biggest takeaways. Be sure to tag me at Siempre Girando, and be sure to tag the CMX crew, Valentina and Seppi, and really start spreading the word, right? That's what matters right now. If you are learning and engaging, I think that I would love to continue connecting with you, see how we can start working together, see how hopefully you can learn from how I'm currently running my business, and go from there. So thank you guys so much. I'm only 2 minutes over. I'm really big on time management, but I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to open it up for questions. Valentina and Seppi, I think Seppi's video is gone, but if you guys have a specific way that you'd like to do questions, definitely let me know.
Yes. Okay. Can you hear me?
We will go from there. Thank you guys for the claps and everything. Yes, yes, yes. Oh my gosh, I love this. Thank you guys so much. Okay, Valentina's back. Hey. So I'm going to, I'm not sure why I can't see Seppi. That's okay. So I'm going to open it up for questions. Valentina, how do you want to do it? I'm not sure what the CMX process is normally like.
Can you hear me at least? If you can't see me, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I don't think Sienna can hear me. I don't think she does.
Weird.
That's okay. Valentina, Sienna, can you hear Valentina?
Can you hear me, Sienna?
Yes, I can hear you.
You can't hear Seppi or see Seppi?
No.
Okay.
But,
so Valentina, why don't you run the Q&A then?
Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
We have a Google Doc that Nicoletta has been collecting any questions that we asked throughout. And then if anybody else has questions now, you can post those in the chat. So I'm going to go to the document then. We have...
Sorry, as you're doing that, I'm going to refresh my screen to see if it pulls up the image, okay? Perfect.
Yeah, if you have any questions for Sienna, please let us know in the chat.
Ooh, that was great. Okay, y'all can hear me. That was great, wasn't it? Ooh.
Yes. So many light bulb moments in that was like, oh, yes, of course. And sometimes you really just need to hear it from somebody else to make yourself realize how important it is. Can you see Seppi now?
Yes, everything's perfect. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Okay, so I will. Good. People can hear me. All right. So let's jump in to the Q&A. Sienna, you couldn't hear me before, but amazing job. Thank you so much for this. So many things resonated with me. Okay, we're gonna jump in, and like Valentina had said, if you still have questions, drop them in the chat box, and then we'll get to them. So I'm gonna start from the top. Okay, so Marwin says, and Marwin, you may have to help me. I'm not sure if I understand it completely. So Marwin says, do you need to know exactly who you're serving if you already have a group of people or members in your community?
Okay, so absolutely not. It's a process and it takes time, right? So when you first start out, you're not going to be able to have the clarity or be able to do it as quickly as I'm doing it because I've been practicing this daily for the past 6 years, you know? So don't feel discouraged and don't compare chapters, but realize that if you don't know who you're doing, who you're focusing on when you're starting out, figure out what feels good to you, right? So when you feel yourself saying, okay, I'm working with this person and I love it, or I'm talking to this person and I feel like I could help. And once you start kind of testing that out with different things, then you're going to realize, okay, this is my strong point. And sometimes it just really helps to focus on one thing to start out, the thing that makes you most excited. And then remember that with time, you can always shift and pivot to other things that you want to be doing. Hopefully that helps.
Yes. Let us know, Marwin, if that answered your question. All right, I'm going to go next to Sarah's question. So this is in regards to what you said about sharing your story. Sarah says, I think I've passed being afraid, but I've noticed I'm a little tired of sharing my multiple chapter story to brand new people. Is this something that happens?
Ooh, I love that. Yes, but you have to get used to it. And I say that because, I say that with love, but it's because I'll give you a great example. My day job is working at a co-living space. And so in 1 year, I maybe cross paths with 150 to 200 different location independent workers. If I had $1 for every time that I said, hey, my name's Sienna, I run business development at Sun & Co, and I also have an online community that focuses on helping women of color, X, Y, and Z, I would be a millionaire. But that's how people remember you, right? So when you're constantly telling that story and people are constantly hearing that, it might feel tired for you, but that means that anyone can pick up and then share your story when you're not in the room, right? And that's what an impactful brand is. The fact that Seppi mentioned Sienna J. Brown before I had to even say anything is okay, that's because I'm sharing a type of narrative or I'm sharing some type of story where people are able to do the work for me, right? That's the best kind of press, marketing, whatever you want to call it, is when the people in your community hear your story, know your story, and it's clear enough for them that they can start doing the work for you.
Love it. Sarah, hope that answered your question. Let us know. All right, Xenia is next. She says, social media. I have very little knowledge of that and am not savvy and struggling with marketing myself. How do you become social media savvy?
Hire someone who's a social media expert to help you. And I say that because, also, I'm sorry, but with Q&As, I'm very to the point, but I'm doing all of it with love just because, I've made the mistakes and I really want people to learn faster. But, hire someone to teach you. Hire someone to learn from. I've been doing social media and for a while, and I've grown a community to over 14,000. But the other day I paid $600 to someone to give me consulting to help see impact. But guess what? That $600 that I invested has allowed for me to create content that's now going viral, that's now reaching a bigger community, etc. So if you're not good at social media, try, but then also buy and invest in yourself, because once you do, it might seem like I don't have the money right now, but you're going to save time and energy, and you're investing in yourself and in your future.
Love it. All right. Next is, okay, so Marwin also says, what is the difference between offline and online communities, according to you, Sienna?
I love that. Yeah, I saw this in the chat as well. Whoever's moderating, you're amazing. Whoever's doing the tech moderation. So Marvin says, what is the difference of an online and offline community? Technically, they should be the same, but one is reaching a much bigger, having a bigger impact because it is online. So a great example, the LMDS community is an online community of over hundreds of thousands of women, and I think over 170 countries in the world, but I can't be or host events in 170 countries in the world, right? So you have to ask yourself, the online community, how am I pouring into them? And then how am I creating safe spaces for community on the ground? So let's say that you're based in Naples, Italy, and so your offline community can be in Naples, Italy, or if you have people in different places in the world to organize in-person events, I guess is what I'm focusing on, or what I was talking about when I say online and offline.
Thank you. All right. So, Vikas, we have a question from you, but I want to see if you can clarify it. It says community focus to assist in capital intensive buying can create impact and income both with the word go. If you could just clarify for that, and we'll come back to it. But I'm going to hop to Emma's question. Emma says, do you recommend using social media voting polls to get to know my community?
Yes, 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 and yes. Use IG stories. Literally, it is, use IG stories. Use polls to, number one, gain clarity and give people less options. Use that quiz option to give yourself even more. So saying, what do you want to learn most from me? Remote work, habits and productivity, how to move abroad, how to scale a business, whatever. And then have people vote. You won't just be able to say, okay, this is the most popular, but you'll be able to see who voted, how many people voted, and what they voted on, so that when it comes time to create a product or it comes time to launch a PDF or whatever, you can go back to that screenshot of all the people who voted for that topic and reach out to them specifically, right? And that's the difference from like going one step further as a business owner or as a community leader. Like really going the extra step to be able to say, hey, last week you told me you wanted to learn about reaching your goals. This week, here's something specifically for you to help you with that transformation. And then that will also help you guys as you get started figuring out what people actually want so that you can have more of a focus on where you should kind of be going with your business.
Got it. All right. So next we have Himanshu. He says, what kind of question to ask to know more about my community? What would you say?
I guess the first thing that I would ask you is, what do you want to know more about your community, right? So like before thinking about what questions you want to be asking yourself, yeah, what are the different aspects? What do you currently not know? And what do you feel like would be most useful for you as you're moving forward? So are you asking them because you really want to get to know them? Are you asking them because you want to create a product? Are you asking them so that you feel like you have more of a connection? And then from there, really just ask yourself what the end goal is. And then just come up with a list of like 5 to 7, send out in a survey. And then again, you can always adapt. Like it doesn't have to be a one-time thing. You should always be in constant conversation with them.
Love it. Okay, Marwin, thank you. He said that last question was from Santosh, not him. And Vika, your question is related to real estate. I'm not sure I 100% get it, but I want to throw it out there. Sienna, maybe you can help me. I think Vika says community focus to assist in real estate to create impact and income. Is that the question? If communities can be used for real estate, is that right, Vika? Let us know. We'll come back.
Vikas, so real estate, talking about like the real estate investment community between people who are selling real estate or people who want to buy, because those are two really different groups, and that would be end users. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna take a step at this. Okay, so I think what you're trying to say is like, imagine that you are selling real estate and you want to be able to create a community around people who are going to be buying the real estate that you want to do. Shift that, and instead of thinking about selling real estate, thinking about selling a lifestyle, right? So what kind of people do you want to be selling to? What kind of content would they like? Is that beautiful Pinterest type photos? Is that someone who's talking about the lifestyle, about the types of houses that you sell? Is it giving content for families who want to be moving into those houses, right? So create a community around being like, hey, this is the type of lifestyle that I want to be living, and then seeing if the people who are in the similar neighborhoods, because I'm sure that that's location specific as well, can kind of connect with each other. Maybe, hopefully that helps.
Okay, great. All right, keep the questions coming, guys. The next one I have is from Ruby. Ruby says, how are you dealing with COVID in a co-living space? How has this pandemic impacted what you do?
Oh, I love this question. So I haven't been living in the co-living space. I've actually been doing COVID by myself with a friend for the past 3 months. How's it affected me? It's given me a ton of clarity on my next steps. And it's really interesting because maybe every 3 years I have like a new life transformation, but COVID has made me realize the things that I really care about, has made me crystal clear on like who I want to be serving as well. And not only that, but just like how I want to be spending my days and my time. That's not to say COVID was a breeze. I'm very grateful to have had outdoor space. I've had company, to have felt supported. But there have been hard times, and I feel like whenever we encounter hard times and hard moments, that's when we really need to move forward. And regarding my business, it's definitely impacted my business. We have retreats. We had a retreat scheduled for March, the week that Spain went on lockdown, as well as for May. Those had to be canceled. But how do you do it? You pivot, you figure out, and you say, okay, that's fine. Everything's online now. What do people need? People have lost their jobs. How do we create a course specifically around remote work for that? And during COVID, we've created that new course. We've brought in, I think, almost 10 women. And like, that's how we kind of shifted to be able to say, okay, how do we adapt?
Great. Okay, we've got questions are coming in. So I'm going to hop on to the next one.
Sure.
Let's see. Next is Lovenia. She says, I would love to be able to develop a plan of action around sharing my story on social media. Any course on that yet? Hint, hint.
Love it. No, give me 6 months. Give me 6 months, because something that I'm planning on doing is working with more expat entrepreneurs to help them build businesses. But something that I would recommend to you, because again, like, I'm going to share with you, you should check out The Traveling Fro on Instagram. The Traveling Fro is an amazing, I feel like everyone's saying like these amazing Black creators, entrepreneurs. No, Jakaya Brown, she is a brand strategist and world traveler. She is brilliant. I have worked with her for the past couple of years. Seppi's also worked with her, and she will definitely get you on track with how to create engaging social media content, how to share your story on social media, and how to really learn how to leave your legacy. Again, invest in yourself. I've been working with Jakaya for the past 2 years, and she really, really helps you step outside of your comfort zone and start doing it in an intentional way.
Yes, I second that. She's well worth the investment. All right.
I'll drop this in here. Sorry. Go ahead.
Awesome. Put her info there so people can find Jakaya. Okay, so next question. These are great questions, guys. Thank you so much. We still have some time, so keep them coming if you have a question. So Marwin, okay, so this one is your question. You asked, when do you know that a solution is worth building for your community? Ooh, I like that.
Ooh, I love that question. Asking yourself if it excites you to build it, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that that's one of the most important things, because at the end of the day, like, as entrepreneurs, business owners, community builders, whatever you want to call yourself, you should be like, your work should support the lifestyle that you want to live, right? So it doesn't make sense to build things just to build them if it doesn't excite you, if you don't feel aligned, and if you feel like you're just going to be going through the motions, right? There's been tons of products, ideas, experiences, expansion things that I've left on the table because I was like, I love that, but that's not for me. That doesn't excite me. So really lean into that and ask yourself not just what the community wants, but what you know that you'd be able to show up best to do.
Yes. Oh, that is so true. I think just because you have the skills and knowledge doesn't mean you have to develop something for that if that's not what makes you move, right? If that's not the gift you want to share.
Absolutely.
All right. Next, Marvin has another question. Love it. And people, if you have more questions, drop them in the chat. We'll get to them. Marvin says, did you have the skills and knowledge to develop solutions for your community before you had the community or during the time you were building it?
Love that. The slide that we missed is one of the most important things. So something that I teach all of my students is how to use their ISSI to position themselves. So I is for identity, which are the things that you're born with, the things that only you have. So in my case, like, my experience is being a woman of color, growing up in a single parent household, being poor, growing up, like, not having access to things, then being able to create that experience, having studied in Madrid, being able to do all of these things that, like, before I created my community, I already knew that, like, hey, these are my people, right? And that's, again, the impact thing, right? Why did I build this community? Because it's something that I wish that I had had. Why did I build this community? Because it's something that I wish that I'd had when I was 16 or 20 or anything. And so technically, had I ever grown or scaled a business or organized retreats or conferences or online courses? No, but you learn. But the thing that is most important is, like, I know that I have the identity, skills, strength, and impact, ISSI, that I've had because, like, I am who I am, and I'm going to be the only person who can show up. Yes, there might be competition. Yes, there might be other businesses out there, but one of the things that you have to remember is that, like, people are going to join your brand for you, for your voice, for your story, for the way that you teach, for the way that you speak, for the way that you live, all of that. So don't ever think that, like, you can't learn or apply new skills and experiences, but really trust that you already have what you need.
Love it. Oh my God, so much knowledge being dropped in this session, peoples. All right, are there any other questions? Because we are going to close up the Q&A. If you guys don't have any, we've had so many so far, so thank you so much. We'll leave it open. Okay, yes, we got another question coming in. I knew there were a few more questions out there. Don't be shy, y'all. We got some time. We got like 5 minutes left for Q&A, but if there are no other ones, we'll close it early. But Santosh has a question here. He says, what is a typical community relationship life cycle? Ooh, I love
this. Here's the thing. You need to create various life cycles within your community, right? So like when you think about what your big picture business brand is, you really want to be walking them through different steps so that they continue staying with you, right? So for me, my big picture goal, Sienna, and what I'm doing in, let's say, 3 years, is I'm creating as many women expat entrepreneurs as possible. How do I get to that community? I have to start first off by getting people to think about moving abroad, right? That's the first cycle. How do I start introducing people to what is life like abroad and what life could be like for them? Amazing. Awesome. Now, once I have them abroad, this is a whole new cycle. Cool. You just moved abroad. You're excited. How do I provide you with the resources? How do I connect you with the people you want to be connected with? How do I show you that you don't just have to be an English teacher, or you don't just have to kind of like do work that isn't fulfilling for you? Great. Let's get you started on remote work or starting on your own business. Awesome. Once you've done that and you found, let's say, remote work, you're doing your side hustle on the side. Let me take you through another cycle. How do you build a business that matters? Where I talk about topics like this, where I work with, expat entrepreneurs to help them build empires, right? So it sounds like it's one business, but in reality, it's like 4 different cycles that I'm leading them through. And so they're always going to want to be a part of the community. And something that I found is that people who started off in our community before they'd moved abroad, now they're engaging as leaders in our community as people who have been living, working, and thriving abroad. Seppi's a great example of that, right? Like when Seppi and I met a while back, we were both in really different spaces, and now Seppi's like killing the game on so many different levels, and she's still a part of the community, but showing up in a different way, you know?
Love that. Love that. That is so true. Such great advice there. And I feel like for me, like that clicked for me really working with Jakaya. She helped me through that life cycle because I did not even think of that big picture. And that really unlocked opportunities for different ways that you can serve your community. So thank you so much for sharing this with us. Okay. So Tamara, or is it Tamara? I'm not sure. I've heard your name pronounced different ways, so let me know. But you say that my teaching business has exploded. Sorry, topping around. Exploded because of the lockdown, but I want to move out of it. Not sure what to focus. Any ideas of good first steps since good first steps.
Perfect. Okay, so I would ask yourself again, like going back to like what excites you, what do you actually want to be doing? And again, I feel like whenever the world, society is in crisis mode, that's when it's really just like, okay, I don't have a job, I don't have money, like options are like, what do I want to do, you know? And I think that like, if you're teaching, I'm sorry, I read that question wrong. Your teaching business has exploded because of the lockdown, AKA you have a ton of clients, I'm imagining, but you want to move out of it, not sure what to focus on. Any ideas on the good stuff first? Okay. Backtracking, doing it again. Okay, so I would ask yourself is taking time, maybe a half an hour every morning, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, to think about what excites you, to think about what you're good at, and to think about, like, if you could do anything, what would that be? Or if you could impact anyone, what would that look like, right? So I'm sure that you started teaching for a specific reason, but ask yourself, like, okay, think of, like, your dream life. What would your days look like? How would you be spending it? Would you be able to work remotely? What would you be doing? And then, like, once you're kind of doing that, then you'll start getting ideas. And you won't have it clear, but what's most important is knowing what you don't want is almost as important as knowing what you do want. So take time, reflect on that before you start your work, because, like, you're not going to be thinking about everything else, but you're going to be thinking about, okay, what do I need to do for myself, for my future, and for what I want?
Love it. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up with that question. Sienna, okay, so first of all, big round of applause for Sienna. Thank you so much. Let us know in the comments if you enjoyed this. I mean, I know you did, but we want to see it, so let us know. Thank you so much for your time. 2 things. Where can people find you if they want to follow you and get connected?
Absolutely. So first of all, I want to say thank you guys so much for opening up this platform, for providing this opportunity. I'm super excited. I want to thank all of you guys who were engaging. It was amazing getting to meet and know all of you guys. I'm not going to share my website, but you guys can follow me at Instagram.com/siempregirando. I just put it in the chat. I would love to connect with you. Send me a DM. Tell me that you just engaged on CMX. Also, feel free to share this in your stories and wherever, and be sure to tag me so that I can engage in the conversation. And I can't wait to get to hopefully work with some of you guys, get to learn you better, and help you create these communities and build these lives. I really appreciate it. And I want to thank you, Seppi and Valentina, for your amazing work as well.
Thank you so much. Yes. Oh, thank you. And one more thing, for anyone who's like, take my money and help me, how can you help people that are interested in diving deeper into everything you've just shared with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you guys the link to my online educational platform, where I have courses on how to secure remote work, how to secure an interview with your ideal client or company in less than 90 days, on mastering your move abroad, Chloe, on mastering your move abroad, on how to learn how to showcase your skills, all of these different things. So I'm going to share the link with you guys right now.
Okay.
I would love for you guys to take a look. Definitely reach out, and I would love to be able to work with you guys, because I feel like, again, being able to have clarity on what type of work you want to be doing to support the lifestyle that you want is the key.
All right. Thank you so much. Yes, I had to bring Chloe. She's been pacing around and she just barked. I don't know if anybody heard it. She's like, I'm tired of ignoring me, so she wants to be part of this. Thank you for that. With that, I'm going to throw it over to Valentina to wrap this up.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much again, Sienna. Please give her a virtual round of applause for taking the time out to share all this wisdom. As I said, it's so many light bulb moments for a lot of us here. Because we are at a point, many of us, where we're like, what do we do next? So we need that clarity. So thank you.